Okay, I wanted to run you through this quiz here really quickly so that you could see how to do these. I put the answers up already, but I wanted to run you through the process of how you did them. So we're going to start with cerium bromine. If you look on the periodic table, cerium is right here. It is a Ce. So Ce, and I've told you that has a charge of 3+. That's what that Roman numeral means. And bromine is Br. And if we were to look again at that periodic table, bromine is over here, and we know it's a -1. So I have a 3+ and a -1, so therefore I need 3 of those to balance it out. CeBr3. Next we have potassium and phosphate. So potassium we know is, if you look at the periodic table, potassium is right here, it's K. And if I were to look at phosphate, if we go to our polyatomic ion chart, phosphate is right here, PO4 3-. So therefore, potassium being a 1+, phosphate being a 3-, I need 3 of these things, right? So K3PO4. No parentheses needed because PO4 only needs 1. And again, no charges in the formula. No charges in the formula. Next, I get ammonium sulfate. This is 2 polyatomic ions going together. So here's ammonium, and we're going to use sulfate, which is right here, SO4 2-. So we have a 1+ and a 2- coming together. So therefore I need 2 ammoniums. Ammonium is NH4, and I'm going to put in parentheses because I need 2 of them, 2 of the whole thing. And then sulfate is SO4. And there's my formula, NH4 2SO4. As we scroll down here a little bit, forgive me because I have to erase this, the joy of these smart boards, we have where you want to write the name of these things now. So COSO4. CO is cobalt, so that's the name of that, cobalt. And SO4 we just learned was sulfate. Sulfate. And you think, okay, great, I'm done. But wait, is cobalt a transition element? Because if it's transition, we have to put its charge. If it's a main group, we know what its charge is. But cobalt is right here, and that's smack in the middle of these transition elements. Okay, so what charge does cobalt have? Well, we've got to take a look and see. Cobalt, you see, has an unknown charge with transition element, right? So sulfate, we know from looking at our sulfate chart, sulfate has a charge of -2, right? So if sulfate has a charge of -2, so this piece here is -2, we know that this piece here has to be +2, right? Because it has to balance it out. The total charge has to be 2+. And there's only 1 cobalt there, just 1, so therefore that cobalt has to be a 2+ charge. So I'd put my parentheses, cobalt 2 sulfate. Next we have sodium, Na, so sodium, and I'm looking at CO3. If I check my polyatomic ion chart again, CO3 is carbonate. So therefore, the name of this guy will be sodium carbonate. Notice, no need to use our Roman numerals because sodium is right here, and that is not a transition element. So therefore, I do not need to use Roman numerals. Last but not least, sodium is again. Sodium is there. And our polyatomic ion, I don't think is on this list, and I apologize for not having it on here. But that is HPO4. It would be sodium, hydrogen, phosphate. You can see on here that we have a hydrogen carbonate, and hydrogen sulfate. This is the same kind of polyatomic ion. It's just instead of using a carbonate or a sulfate, it has a phosphate molecule that's with it. And there's no problem to have all three of them written there. Again, no Roman numerals needed here because it is not a transition element. We move down to the last three pieces here, and that is where I'm asked you to write both the name and the formula. Name and the formula. Some of you lost some points because you didn't write both of these things. So calcium is Ca. It has a 2+ charge. Sulfate, we go back to our polyatomic ion list. Sulfate's right here, has a 2- charge. So 2+, 2-, so CaSO4. No need for parentheses because I only need one of those SO4s. The name of this would be calcium sulfate. And again, no need for Roman numerals because calcium is a main group element. Number 8, I gave you chromium. Chromium has the symbol of Cr. And I told you it was a 6+ because chromium, if you look at the periodic table, chromium is right here, and that is a transition element. So therefore, you need to write its Roman numeral when we do the name. Chromium is a 6+. Oxygen, we know that to be over here in group 16. That's a 2-. So therefore, I have a 2- there. So I have 6 pluses and only 2 minuses. So therefore, I need 2 more of these 2 minuses. I need 3 total oxygens to balance out that 1 chromium. So CrO3 is my formula. To write the name of it, I would write chromium. And because it's a transition element, I put its charge, which is 6, Vi in Roman numerals. And I would oxide. I would cut off the yidgen and just put ide on the end. Hope that's helpful for you as you study for your test.